we're going to move on to our panel, right on time, right on schedule. See, I knew we'd make it back, which is putting the hype into social games, deconstructing hyper-casual and social games. And leading this panel, rejoining me now, is Riley Andersen from Umami, who you heard from earlier. Hi again, Riley. Good to have you again. And I'll just do a quick intro to everyone to say that, you know, obviously on this panel, I'll let them introduce themselves and I'll let Riley kick off in a moment. But, you know, I want to say obviously a big welcome to Alexander from SOFTGAMES, who's joining us now, Elina from Quicksave, who you saw before, Kana from Tenjin, our lovely track sponsors, who we can't do this without. So a big thank you to Tenjin and to Kana for joining us. To Reine from Wixel Studios, and of course to Ali from Agora.io, who are our diamond sponsors and helping us make this possible. So I can see they're all slowly joining, but I'll stay here with you but until they all arrive. But how are you, Riley? You all good?
I'm all good here, yes. Very good.
Good. And hopefully everyone else here is feeling good. We're looking forward to the panel. That should be a great way to end what's been a brilliant track. So yeah, I suppose everyone's still joining, but I'll leave it to you, Riley. I'll come back at the end if you need any help with the Q&A, but obviously for everyone in the audience, you've got that Q&A button in the bottom right. Make sure, as you've been doing all morning or whatever time zone it is for you, make sure you throw in your Q&As for our lovely tracks, our speakers here, our panelists who've kindly, well, joined us for the first time or in some cases rejoined us. So yeah, thank you to everyone, and I will be back at the end.
Thank you, Sophia, for that. That was super great. So today we are going to talk about putting the hype into social games and deconstructing hyper-casual and social games. So there was a quick introduction, but I think it would be great to elaborate a little bit. From my screen here, maybe Alexander, you could start a little bit about introducing yourself and what your company is doing and your role.
Yeah, sure. So hi, hello to everybody. Very happy to be here today. So my name is Alexander. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SOFTGAMES. We are a tech company who is developing games, social games, mainly for Facebook and the app stores. We have a clear focus on solitaire and match 3 games, and our flagship titles like solitaire Tri-Peaks, solitaire story Tri-Peaks, for example, or Cookie Land, for example, have been played over 100 million times. We are based in Berlin and Toronto, and we're around like 80 people. Yep.
That sounds super cool. And a little bit, I'm trying to divide you guys a little bit into who's developers, who's platform holders and stuff. So maybe we'll jump to you, Elina. Could you elaborate a little bit about you? Because as far as I know, you're a developer as well.
Yes, hi, hello everyone. So my name is Elina Arponen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Quicksave Interactive, and yes, we develop games as well. We've done some proprietary technology, but it's mainly about game development for the social super apps. So like Alexander here, we do also games for Facebook instant games and other such platforms.
Then let's move a little bit on to more of what I would call like the service providers or platform holders. How about you, Kana, from Tenjin? Could you tell a little bit about your role and a little bit more about Tenjin?
Yes, so I am Ganbayar and most people call me Kana, and I have an entrepreneurial background in e-commerce, which led me to the game industry. And right now I am a customer success manager at Tenjin. So at Tenjin, my role is specifically helping indie hyper-casual game developers grow into enterprise level gaming companies. So we provide a lot of tools and trainings that the bigger guys develop in-house. And we are also an attribution provider, so which kind of connects the user acquisition with the monetization part to help like developers measure their marketing success like accurately.
That sounds super interesting, especially since, yeah, I have a background in hyper-casual myself, is super data-driven. How about you, Ali? You're a service provider as well. Could you tell a little bit about you and your role at Agora.io?
Yes, hi everyone. So glad to be here with you. So I am Ali. I am the director of sales for the EMEA region within Agora. We are an RTE pass provider, which means real-time engagement platform as a service. And we enable games, whether they are hyper casual, multiplayer, socials, etc., to embed live engagement features into their games. So whether it's video chat, voice chat, live interactive streaming as well. So that's what we do in a global scale.
That sounds super interesting. And then here joining us as well, Reine. Could you tell, we just talked about that Alexander and Elina, they're more like on the development side, whereas Kana and Eli is more service provider. Where would you place yourself? And could you tell a little bit about yourself?
I'm Reine Abbas. I'm CEO founder of Wixel Studios and Spikatech. Wixel Studios, we are publishers and developers. So we develop and publish games, social games, educational games, casual games. And recently we are helping small companies in Lebanon and the region to do and to produce casual, hyper casual games.
Sounds super good. And actually, let's jump right into our first topic, like hyper casual and social games. Because in many ways, those types of games are similar, but there's also some areas that are unique for each genre. Maybe should we start with either some of the developers explaining a little bit, like how would you define a hyper casual and social game? I'm looking at you, Elena, for example.
Yeah, sure. So we are obviously more on the social gaming end, and how I look at the social gaming now is I see this kind of new wave of social gaming coming through these messaging applications and the social platforms. Like there was like 10 years ago there was the social gaming era in Facebook, but now we are seeing something new, something that is more recent. And there is a lot of hyper-casual games in these social platforms, obviously, but it can be also other genres. It's not limited to be only hyper-casual.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Alexander? Would you define your games as social games or hyper-casual games, or is it a mix?
No, it's basically so we're coming from the web area mainly, and then we focus mainly on hyper casual, but since we are on Facebook, we clearly focus on more the complex casual games, so with a strong meta layer and strong also like retention figures and so on. And I would say like we have a clear focus on social games for sure, because due to the nature of the platform. So like playing together with friends, sharing excitement or experiences with friends. Are very crucial for our gameplay or for our games. So we are definitely not in the hyper casual area, because we believe, okay, hey, the audience we have, which is more mature, more females from the US, they like to play more complex games which you can drive into like a deep story and proceed over time, not like just playing 5 minutes and then like, okay, hey, or even probably 2 minutes and then they're away for the next game. So it's more like long session times and this kind of stuff.
So it's not as like we had this pre-talk where you mentioned that hyper casual, you would define it as short and sweet. I don't know whether you could elaborate a little bit of like your understanding of what a hyper casual game is.
Yeah, so we call it kind of like a snackable, right? So it's the kind of games that you want to quickly go into the other room and, the way you munch on chocolates, makes you happy, right? Takes only like a minute or two. This is the kind of feeling that we're trying to shoot for when we talk about hyper-casual games. So as an analytics provider, we have a little bit more like specific definition on how what a hyper-casual game is. So basically, we say that hyper-casual is usually on the mobile because it has kind of like location, free. You can be anywhere, and also it's usually monetizing on ads. So you don't have to be going through like a complex process of like doing in-app purchases or things like this, and very easy, very fast development cycle. And yeah, I think that's about it.
So in a way we could say, Alexander, you're like on one side of the social games with more deeper monetization levels, and then we have the hyper casual, which a bit in the other end, where it's easier with the monetization layer, it's shorter development cycles and stuff. I think that's kind of interesting that then there's some areas that overlap and some that are unique. How about you, Reine? You said you guys create hyper casual games as well, but also educational games. How does that affect your gaming? I think you're muted.
So yeah, we developed since 2008 all kind of games: educational, casual, console games, online games. We have two business models. We have also we have clients, so we do advert games, simulations, and also we publish and we produce our own games. So recently, also we started to found the small companies to help developers in Lebanon and the region to enter the market with less cost and to enter the hyper casual, model. Because it's hyper casual concept, it's against the standard formula of creating our games. The cost is lower. You need a really small team. You don't have expensive, testing, polishing. Small, simple graphics. A really smart gameplay. So I think that's why we are encouraging really small companies or small teams to enter the hyper casual. Maybe it's a way for them to enter the market and to gain money. Also, although I think it's not a business in itself, new companies pop up all the time. It changes very fast. So there's a big competition in this section. You can do really a lot of games and waiting for one game to shine. This is really the opposite what we were doing for all these years. We do a game for 7 months. Big game, 3D game. It's a big risk. But we don't know if it will work or not. Graphics, big team. So that's why we're trying to enter the hyper casual market with small teams. And we have publishers. We have also. I will tell something. We have like investors. They are willing. They are paying these small teams that we founded, paying them like monthly payments to create a lot of hyper casual games, and to try these hyper casual games. So it's a business. It's not a business in itself, but it's a new, new kind of business, attracting new kind of investors, and I don't know, it's really going fast, and we have to be, to go fast with it at the same time.
I definitely agree. It's like the market has changed a little bit from being more the developers market today, and I also agree that it's super smart with like risk management in general. Like with one thing is hyper casual. I also think the whole rapid development approach, which is like the key within hyper casual, is something that's super relevant within all different kind of genres of gaming. But you talked a little bit, Alexander, with like the target audience, because that was something I think is interesting. Like social games and hyper casual games, is it the same type of wide audience for both of them?
I can talk only, or mainly, let's say, for let's say more the complex casual or social games, we want to call them. Probably it's also due to the nature of our games. So it's solitaire tri-peaks on the one hand, and it's match 3 on the other hand. So probably these kind of games traditionally on Facebook appear more to a more, let's say, like a mature audience. I don't know how it is for the hyper casual games. if it's and probably Elina can elaborate a bit on this, how it is on Facebook, let's say. What I know, what I heard, but not from own experience, that hypercasual in the app stores is more male, more let's say India, Brazil, these kind of countries. But I leave this up to somebody else who has more insights on that side.
Maybe it's you, Elina, and Kana, who knows a little bit more about like the users. Do you, Elina, is that on Facebook? Normally your games are.
Yeah, so we're also like on Facebook. So yeah, and we're also doing like games that are more on the kind of casual, well, still casual games, but have a more deeper meta game.
Yeah.
So not doing like purely hypercasual. We've done some, like you could classify them as hypercasual, but the latest ones are a bit more than that in the depth of the game. But yeah, in Facebook you can target like different groups. I mean, it has 2 billion users, so you can find your own audience among those people.
Yeah, because it's funny with the different types of like the social games or social features in general. Because I know you, Eli, you have like, I think we just chatted about like what we call classical social games and social features where we normally see them. But I know you have another definition of how wide social features can be. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So basically, to come back to what is hypercasual on social. So I think both genres are open to very large audience. So because of their simplicity on the instant gameplay, so you don't need necessarily, a guide to play the games. It's very simple. You can play them within a few minutes. But I think that they are both used by the same demographics as well, because of their simplicity. But they differ on many things. So hyper casual games are mainly playable like by yourself, without interaction with other players. Whereas social, you can interact with other players, and you need other members, to play with.
And how do you think that? How does that affect then, like the monetization strategy? Like maybe the long-term monetization. Is it your experience that some of the social features is helping on the long-term retention?
Yes, and due to different factors. So we know that the hyper casual games is a bit crowded now, and that advertising revenues are decreasing on the new iOS 14, which is coming as well. So there are many factors which are pushing game genres like hyper casual to diversify their monetization models. So where hyper casual are mainly relying on advertising for their monetization, so they will now think about diversifying their monetization model and embedding new features like video chat or voice chat, or where you can have different type of monetization. So you can buy filters or masks or avatars. So these are all things that you can sell to your players. So this is one of the options, but there are like many different monetization models. So I think the path where we are going, we will force some genre to diversify their monetization model. Where on social, it's much more in-app purchase, like virtual currencies, virtual goods, etc., on less relying on advertising. I think both genres are complementary, and both genres have a lot to learn from each other.
Definitely. And that's also one of the things that's super interesting, that it's different metrics we're going for in the different games, but I guess in all of them, like an overall goal is once you actually created a game that is interesting both with metrics and with the users, then how do we then optimize? How do we analyze the data within the game to actually optimize the return of ad spend we get? I think Kana, you could elaborate a little bit on what could we do within Hypercasual. What are you looking for when you're analyzing or trying to optimize? Could you tell a little bit about the process you guys use?
Yes, so this is exactly what Tenjin kind of provides. So it's very crucial for game developers to measure their LTV, which is the lifetime value. And I know for other genres, it can be like 90 days or so, but for hypercasual, usually you make most of your money from day 7 to day 30. And now some of the games, they're even like they have a target to make their money back on day 3, right? So it's a huge rush, right? And also it kind of presents a challenge for like the internal the setup of the company into processing data so much faster and accurately, and also making predictions, right? So like at Tenjin, you can get ad revenue LTV like on the dashboard. You just have to go to your dashboard and it just shows you like what your LTV is. And also like since we're catering to any apps, not just hypercasual, we can also like have IP LTVs. So measuring this kind of thing is very crucial. And so when you have like LTV, most hypercasuals go in and automate their bidding, right? So you kind of get like the LTV that so basically the money that you're making from each campaign or from each source, and then you automate the bidding to make better bidding decisions, like when you go into the ad network. So yeah, it's at a very like advanced stage right now.
It sounds super interesting. I can only say, as a hyper-casual developer myself, it sounds like a lot of the stuff that would be super valuable, especially when you're like a team of 3 or 5 or 7 people, where maybe you don't have a dedicated UA person yet. So I think that sounds super interesting. How about you, Alexander, Elina, in your social games? When do you expect to make most of the money back? It could sound like for you, Alexander, that it's not just between day 7 and day 30.
I would love to, actually.
Yeah, would we all?
I think that's a problem with the more complex games. As soon as you're going to this direction, you have to pay a bit more for a user rather than like for hyper casual. It's like a CPI of, I don't know, 3 to 6 cents, whatever the guy before told us. It's a bit unrealistic, I'd say. But the good thing on Facebook especially is that we get a lot of, let's say, like our user acquisition is done purely organically right now. That's a good thing. So we don't have to rely, like in the app stores, on big marketing campaigns where you have to spend like at least 20K in order to get some kind of data at the beginning. How does it work on Facebook is that you, I said, like organically get a good bunch of organic users, so you can test your game and optimize your game. You don't have to ask anybody, hey, can I please update or release this new update?
Yeah,
basically automatically there. You can iterate super fast, which makes this kind of platform super attractive for any kinds of developers. For sure, not everything is super easy and super bright, but at the end of the day, you do not have to spend like a lot of money for user acquisition. And if we spend money for user acquisition, then the ROAS goal is like far behind that, like 30, 60, or 90 days, let's say, right now. But sure, working on this to lower it.
I think that sounds super. What about you, Elina, then? Because we talked a little bit about earlier that you and Alexander, what you're doing is a little bit the same, but still not totally. But maybe Alexander has been in the game for many years, and compared to that, you're a little bit newer in the game. How has it been getting into the social gaming market? Has it been how has it been coming into Facebook and learning social game, and has your games the same organic
there's definitely there is better kind of organic flows, although we're doing some UAs as well to kind of like get the seed audience depending on how do with each game. But yeah, I mean, this Facebook market is about as old as our company. So we do have some background, not from this company, but the team has from like a previous company where we were doing games for one specific chat app, and so I've been looking into this kind of intersection of like how to design games that kind of coexist between the chat and the game, and what is the communication there, and I think that there is like a new design challenges in this area, but when it comes to the kind of analytics and all that, so obviously it's quite similar to a mobile game, so that you would like iterate, and it is true that it's pretty it's easy to iterate fast with this platform. Like you can just set updates and check your data again, and yeah, and of course like the social numbers are very important. Like you would look at the things like where people are coming in from. Are they coming in from friends, or are they organic, or where are they coming from? And you're trying to increase the kind of friend-to-friend messaging and that kind of viral.
This is more like, and I'm going a little bit off track in general, but in hyper-casual we see a lot of these trends, like mechanic trends. Like when you're thinking more on the design side, we see a lot of different mechanics that are trending. Could be like a shooting mechanic or whatever. In social games, do we see, is it the same, that it's like a market that's rapidly changing the mechanics out all the time, or is it like the same?
Well, you can see some trends. Like there was in the beginning when the bots, the game bots were not with opt-in. In the beginning, everyone was focusing more on the bot messages, but now that they have opt-in, it's not quite as crucial, or it's not. I mean, it's still important, but it's not as big. And then there was a point where there were more games about sharing. Now there's a lot of context play. You're starting to see tournaments. So yeah, I mean, as the platforms develop and there's new features, that also affects kind of the trends and what kind of things are in the games.
Yeah, but there are still, Alexander, room for the classic social game that's match free and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely, clearly. I mean, like if you look to let's look into the metrics of who's using Facebook right now. Like the young age got older, and they learned how to play the early days, the Farmvilles and the Candy Crushes of the world. So now they got a bit older. They have children at home. They're a bit bored. So what they're doing in the evening, they go again to Facebook, either in the app or on the browser, and they keep on playing. So there's definitely still like a huge audience who's interested in playing these kind of games. But that's a good thing on Facebook as well. It's basically open. You have like differently. You have audience for both kinds of types of games. My God. On the one hand, like people who are just like snackable stuff. Hey, I want to play something quickly and watch ads. Okay, I'm fine. Or the ones where I said like going a bit deeper into like a whole universe of gaming experience. So there's, I said, clearly a place for both sides of games, like hyper-casual and the more complex one. If you look to which kind of games are successful, you see clearly also like the hyper-casual games there. Yeah.
Definitely. And then should we move on to a little bit talking about how does the market look right now and the future of hyper-casual and social games? Maybe Kana, and you can also talk a little bit about, we've seen how the monetization side of hyper-casual game has gotten a little deeper. We talked about like hybrid casual, and could you elaborate a little bit on what's going on there?
Yeah, so hyper-casual, started out as like a development strategy, and also, like the gameplay, the technical parts of the mechanics of the play, right? But now it's becoming more popular as like a marketing strategy and release strategy. So basically, what's happening is that a lot of the other genres are starting to adopt the hyper-casual techniques, which is like fast development cycle, testing like the creative, and then based on the feedback, creating the game after, which is Yeah. Hard to imagine, yes, but it does happen. And then, so what we see is that, you know, hyper midcore, for example, is like a mix between midcore and hypercasual. And basically it still has IPs, right, in our purchases. And then even on the social side, like it has games sometimes that you can play with other players in real time, like short and sweet, and then go. So there's still like a social aspect to it, you know. So we're seeing like the merging of different genres, and then yeah, that's so basically like the future of hypercasual is that it's expanding in terms of genres, so within the hypercasual, and yeah, so like the game itself is also like becoming more deep. So we have like from Say Games, Johnny Sugar. It's a really good hypercasual game where you're, you know, shooting and actually going in a kind of like a space like Mario does, right? So that's hard to say that it's hypercasual mechanics, right? But it is really easy and sweet, and you know. We also have like Loop Games, which develops hypercasual and puzzle games, right? So it is, yeah, people are thinking about like how to increase the retention, but also, you know, make sure that they acquire very generic audiences and make them, you know, make like quick money from ads.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. And how about then with the social games? I don't know whether Elina, Alexander, who thinks they knows more, but like how is that market developing? Is it good being in social games at the moment?
We say like, no, it's the worst thing you can do now.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, the good thing is like we're acting in an attractive niche, which is not really. We don't have the tough competition what you used to have in the app stores. You know, it's. I don't want to say it's a walled garden, that for sure not. So everybody can basically, everybody's open and free to upload the game and try to succeed over there. But still, it's the hype. Is basically went away a bit, you know. So like they're like, you know, each other, you know, like there's basically the same developers, you know each other, know what they're doing, and who's going well, who's not doing that well, who's trying, and you know, who's succeeding right now. We basically are pretty clear this. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that the market is not developing and evolving, and that it's not possible to make money there. That for sure not. I said like at the beginning, just the fact that you do not have to invest a lot of money in marketing, that you basically can test ideas, that you can test ideas or new games with very little effort, just like the development effort you have to do, is super attractive. And also like Facebook is supporting the developers very much with a lot of tools, and there's always somebody who has an open ear. Is pushing a lot of very interesting features, which is like pushing, let's say, like the social aspect even more, going a bit more towards what they initially thought about, like, hey, please send me this gift and blah. It's more like, it's kind of competition aspect, which is like super interesting, especially for the hyper casual area. But also on the more complex side, as well, I said, you know, you have a lot of opportunities and tools with the bots, which are more like the push notifications in the app stores, a lot of other things, which definitely help you as a developer. And so I still believe very, very much on this platform. That's why we're also investing hardly since basically day one in messenger games, or however we want to call it at the end of the day.
Like I know some Danish developers that also does like the more hardcore side of the Facebook social games, and they have been doing very well as well. So it seems a niche, but if you're good at the niche, you can also make some pretty good results there. How about you, Reine? You talked about a little bit of like that you have noticed that many of the developers now can get some kind of like payment for prototype, for monthly payment. We have the same experience. I think that's a very positive development at least for the small studio developers. Is that something? How do you see the hyper casual market developing?
I just know one thing, that we have to be really super appealing for the wide audience out there, you know, as much as possible. So we have to, I think we have to be appealing to billions, not millions. So yeah, and billions are playing hyper casual games. So yeah, I think this is good. I think this is a really good thing for the developers and the developers to have some money and to develop, you know, a lot of games and maybe one title, and to get money to do this, you know, because you know, it's really hard to gain money in this industry if you're a few or small group or whatever. So yeah, it's a good thing to get paid every month to do 6 games per month, and to throw it on the store. And I think this is good for our region, because in our region the gaming industry is still really developing, and we need to create jobs. I think COVID-19 is helping us, because you don't have to leave anywhere. You can recruit teams from home and work together to produce these games. And now we're having really more and more publishers from the globe to help these small teams to work from our region, and to create success stories, and to boost the gaming industry from our region, and to create jobs. I know you will ask about COVID-19 and what we were doing. I think this is your last question, so I'm really excited to answer this section. Yeah. But I know I'm from the region, and I think hyper casual production, it's really helping our developers and artists to start producing games, and hopefully to have success stories from here. So I'm making sure to do this.
That's super
That's why
cool.
I'm helping small teams and small startups, or they don't have to be startups, you know, small group of developers and artists and game designers together to do this.
Sounds super cool. Yeah, because let's use this last 5 minutes just on focusing on like the big 2020s. Yeah. So of course there's been the Corona pandemic over. That has changed both revenues, conditions. Many of us are working from home, but I think even more relevant, at least in this sphere, is also like the iOS 14. I think we really should just have like just a few minutes around that. How will that affect like the marketing going further? Maybe we should start with you, Alexander. If you are doing a lot of targeting, no, you didn't do that much paid marketing, right?
So I mean, like we, like I said, on the more in March, but it recovered pretty fast, let's say. So we are more or less where we've been beforehand. Interestingly, on the UA campaign side we're doing, we don't see, let's say, any impact, let's say, on CPM. So it's still quite pricey, as we only can focus on Facebook there. So I don't hope that the pandemic continues for sure, because it doesn't help anybody. But somebody who said, I don't know how it is on the Hypercasual side, but so far for our kinds of games, we didn't see any, let's say, positive impact on the CPIs we have to pay at the end of the day.
Kind of the same experience we have, and I think Kana, you can you know a lot about like the effects and what can be done. How have Tenjin prepared for iOS 14?
Yes, so iOS 14 is a big change, and so before I talked about the bigger companies that built like in-house technologies on automating the bits, right? And all the ad networks connection run on this thing that is going to disappear, which is the IDFA, the identifier. So basically it's kind of like a level, you know, industry leveling activity that's going on here. So this is like good and bad at the same time, which gives a lot of opportunities for new developers, because you're going to be on the same page on as the big guys, where they're trying to scramble and trying to get things right. If you move fast, then you can do this too. And about the effects of iOS 14, the CPI is going to go down, and the eCPM is of course going to follow. But hypercasuals are going to be less hit than like other genres, because we have a very generic targeting. So I think that's going to kind of survive. But yeah, we have technologies that help you track what kind of ads are being watched. So we're like adapting, and we have like a training that helps developers calculate their LTVs with the use of like conversion values. So
that sounds good. Sounds like you guys are prepared. How about you, Reine? You had some insights on the Corona as well. Of course, yeah, I agree that since everything has now gone, we're not physically meeting. It doesn't matter as much whether you're like located next to each other or not. But how else has the Corona affected you? Have you managed to get by financially, or has it gone up or down? Or?
So is there a question for me? Sorry.
It could be for both of you.
Yeah, okay.
I think maybe
Me
also Reine first. Sorry.
Yeah.
Then we go to you after Eli.
So me first.
Yes, let's try.
So yeah, I get this question from the first day of lockdown. So I think because we do services, so our business was doing really good during Corona, because everyone wants to go digital, everyone wants to do games, because everyone is staying home and playing games, and the demand, even the clients are doing advert games, they wanted to do hyper casual advert games, because they know during Corona more people are using their downtime to discover new games, and sometimes they are bringing old favorite games also. That's why the clients were wanted to also do advert games, hyper casual advert games, because they know this category was dominating before Corona, and it increased during Corona. So that's why. Yeah, all the clients, new clients, everyone wants to do games for people to advertise their new products through this genre of games. So yeah, it was good for the business. I recruited more people actually, because they don't need, they don't need to relocate. I don't need permit visas. They don't need anything. They only have, and can work from home. So we recruited more people, more developers, and it was a really big chance for me to recruit developers and artists from the region, adding to the teams in Europe. So yeah, I recruited more people. I gave chance more for the developers, the new developers, new artists, because everyone wants to do games for people. So yeah, business-wise, it was good.
Yeah, I think most of can be that. How about
Don't
you?
tell anyone.
Yeah. How about you, Elina? Let's just round out you, and then we have a few questions as well for the Q&A. I'm a little unsure whether Sophia is supposed to do that or not, but let's start by hearing you, Eli.
So yeah, basically we have seen a big increase in demand from the gaming space for our future, like whether it's video chat or voice chat. So especially during this period where people cannot meet physically, so they can play with each other while talking and seeing each other. Whether and we have seen that from different type of games, genres that we might not imagine, going to social that fast. So I think the biggest increase was from hyper casual games. Yeah.
Then Elina, I'm sorry, I think we will have to go to the Q&A, but maybe there will be something from you.
Good predictions already.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, Sophia, whether I should do the Q&A.
Yeah, I think I'll leave you to do the Q&A, Riley. It seems to make the most sense to me. Yeah. So I'll still be here in the background, but as long as you've got the questions in front of you, then I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, so we have one question here asking, how much do mobile hyper-casual and Facebook Messenger games users overlap? I'm not sure who's most relevant. Maybe Elina, is that you? Do you guys make both hyper-casual and Facebook Messenger games?
So yeah, we've made a couple of, I guess, could classify as hyper-casual. So then, you know, there's a full overlap because they are in the social space. But yeah, I'd say that potentially how I see it, like a hyper-casual, maybe even more successful on like pure hyper-casual, like maybe even more successful in the mobile front, like the App Store, because if you don't have any social features, like you have to at least have some social things in it to be like a big success in the instant games, the Facebook side. So, but there are those actually, yes. So there are successful hyper-casual games that have this inviting of friends or leaderboards and all kinds of things that kind of tie it to social, and then it can be fully successful on the social side as well. And then of course in the social gaming side, you can do games that are not hyper-casual, like we are doing as well, that have much more metagame and a longer lifetime.
Yeah, because also, I don't know whether the rest of you guys agree, but I would also as a developer say that it's also a lot about thinking about the platform, right? So maybe the same mechanic could work both as a social game and on mobile, but since it's two different platforms, you have to think about some of the technical stuff that's unique for each platform you're porting the game to.
I would say like that you find like the audience for hyper-casual games probably even more on Snapchat than on Facebook, because they do not have the complex as like the casual games and the hyper-casual games, but they just basically focus purely on hyper-casual. Because they have the more younger audience, let's say, probably even more male audience. I don't know which direction this kind of question is going. If it's more on the UA side, or if it's more going like, hey, I have an idea of a hyper-casual game, I bring it to Facebook. Then I probably would recommend like bringing it to Snap rather than on Facebook, or basically it's HTML5, so you can basically try both platforms at the end of the day. So yeah.
Then we also have a very like concrete question. Maybe this could be for you, Kana. How do the hyper-casual games ad monetization, mediation, and attribution work in China if a game is published through service like AppTutti?
AppTutti, I'm not sure.
I've never heard about that before, but I think if we just say like, how does ad monetization, mediation, and attribution work in China?
Yeah, obviously, like, yeah, China is a big topic, right? We usually go through, you know, other providers like NativeX on the UA side, and then, but yeah, yeah, I'm not so sure about exactly what the specifics are.
No, I never heard about AppTutti as well. But I guess what we can say overall is that there is a difference whether you wanna publish a game in China or in USA. It is different. You have to
sometimes like you have to publish like a different app because it's a different app store, right? So basically you have to cater to China requirements. And I heard about like things that you have to be like certified by Chinese government and you know to be able to publish things there. So there's obviously a lot of like agencies that do this. And
yeah, so partnering up with someone who knows the Chinese market might be a good idea. Then we have one last question. I think maybe that could be you, Elina, or Alexander. So someone asks, in Facebook Messenger, can you then monetize only using fan for ad? And how do the mediation, attribution, UA landscape look there now? So maybe let's start with, can you monetize only using fan for ad?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Like Facebook is trying to create an ecosystem, so I think they would never ever allow anybody else to like fan is basically the Facebook ad network. That's what it stands. Yeah, we always ask them like, hey, do you need what do you think about more competition on the platform to probably even increase the CPMs? And then they said like, no. We probably not allow anybody else to run advertisement on our platform. That's the thing, right? Like our games running within Facebook. So that would be the same if Google would allow anybody else to run the inventory on their search environment, let's say.
And I guess with the UA landscape, attribution, mediation, we have chatted a little bit about it. Could you maybe sum up like how that works in Facebook Messenger quickly?
Yeah, I mean, like they are like, let's say like it's like early days on the UA landscape on Facebook. So we are definitely not that far. Like the whole, let's say, market is not that far developed as is in the app stores. There are now ROAS tools available, but they're pretty new. But I said like Facebook is trying to create an ecosystem there, so it's definitely like they have a clear focus on making UA possible, or let's say ROAS positive, let's say for everybody. So I think it will evolve within the next couple of months. Probably even iOS 14 is an opportunity for Facebook for instant games, because like Facebook still has all the data on, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that was the last big, like a small prediction for the future. But thank you. I think that will be around it, guys. Otherwise, we also had there's a lot of topics, right? We've seen Epic and Apple fighting a bit as well, but that will be for another panel. I think for now we'll say thank you very much for your time, and thank you, Sophia, for organizing it.
No. Well, obviously I need to then in turn say thank you to the team, like Patty and everyone, and Sally and Catherine, who's in the background, for helping put together such an amazing day of tracks. Thank you all for being here and helping close off our Hypercasual and Social Games track. It's been an amazing morning, as the time is here, of talks and obviously this panel as well. And obviously I want to say a massive thank you to Tenjin for making the track possible, and of course to Agora.io, who you can see here, our diamond sponsors.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Thank you to, and thank you, of course, to all of our other sponsors as well. I'll let you guys go off before I thank all of our other sponsors, but enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you on the Meet to Match, the Discord, or maybe checking out one of the tracks later on.
Cool.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.